World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Jana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient. We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
She was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be linked to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She is magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is now.
Greetings and welcome to Access Wealth Nation with Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse, giving you that checkup from the neck up, getting that financial world together. Of course, we're broadcast on the Soul City Network along with WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. And we're bringing forth more financial literacy, which is so important to our community. As you know, that's my mantra. And so those of you who would like to pursue and learn more about financial literacy, I would highly suggest and recommend that you get the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker book by Tom Matthews and Steve Siebold. They are two of my partners, and they produced this book. Of course, my whole thing is to pass on why reinvent. So it takes less than an hour to read. But if you'd like the free book, all you got to do is send your address to Anaj Enterprises Inc. at gmail.com, and I'll be glad to send you a book. That's all it takes is that you send the email with your address. And of course, the next step is read the book. Okay. And then if you have questions, statements, comments, as many of you have, and thank you for them, is that also some of you have even gone to the level of taking a picture with the book and showing me where you're reading it from. So I am so glad that the financial literacy wave is occurring, and we're in the ending stages of of 2022. And so in doing so, it's time to make a change, not be out there all the time looking to see how we're going to spend money. And when I say spend, I mean spent. Spent means it's not coming back. Circulate means that the money is going to come back. Now, some of you know about circulation of money, but it takes you a little longer than others. So remember that we have to do some things to put ourselves in place. This is a time not for spending. In our community, in the people of color across this country, we last year spent 1.7 trillion with a T. And how much of that stayed in our community? Think about it. How much stayed in our community? Not a lot. The average dollar lasted less than 4 hours in our community. It used to be at least a day. It doesn't even last that long. So we've got to make some changes. And I'm imploring y'all today is to not go out and just go and spend, and send your money to other places, but to maybe get a couple of gifts, maybe a few, or take care of a child, one gift, teaching them the elements of how money works, and also teaching them the element of learning how to build and save for the future. Now, I know some of y'all will say, my child ain't going to understand this. They will if you start to teach them this. One of the things that you can do is if there are things that the child likes, Nike sneakers, Disney, we went out and we did the Wakanda Forever again. And so if you're going to do it, why not put the money in or put money towards something that you use? Of course, we can do a lot of things out here, but you think about it. If you had some Disney stock, that's for Wakanda, Nike, Apple, the things that we have a tendency to put our money in all already. How would you like to have a little bit of ownership? And some people say, well, I don't have enough money to own that stock. There are things that are called drips. They're just like what it sounds. You're going to buy a little bit. You're not going to get the whole share until you get the whole share. But those are things that you can discuss. And I am definitely not making a recommendation. Please be very clear. I am not recommending that you go out and buy a certain stock or something, just to be aware of what you can do. Okay. And not necessarily that you have to do. But if you're going to put all that money out there in these other businesses, wouldn't it be great to be able to say that you own a part of the company or had a piece of the action? That's what stock means. Stock means that you are owning part of the money. If the company does well, part of the company, and it means that if the company does well, you do well. If the company doesn't do well, you don't do so well. Okay. And we've watched time and time again, we talk about, I don't want to be in the market. If you live, breathe, and walk, some way, shape, or form, you're in this market. Okay. And we affect the market by the things that we buy, the things, places that we go. So if that's the case, wouldn't it be wise that we be able to put our money so that we are saving, not just for us, but for the legacy, for the future? So I'm going to go over, because I talk about all the time that if you have a plan, then you're planning not to fail. But if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail, because you need a roadmap. Number one, in our communities, one of the things is that financial literacy is not discussed. We don't talk about it at the dinner table. Our children do the blind and search type of thing to figure out how money works. We've got to stop this. We have to get on board. We can't keep blaming other people for not educating ourselves. We have an entire internet. And of course, I tell folks the internet is not necessarily always used just for the information, because you can get some misinformation, but you can learn some of the basics on it. And it's better to learn something and then sit with a financial advisor or a financial educator Now, what's the difference there is that the financial advisor can advise you in what the structures and putting together a plan. The financial educator is just that. They're going to educate you on how money works. They're going to tell you about the different things that you have. They're going to review some of the plans you have to educate you. And if there's things that may need to be altered, well, that's where the financial advisor. Now, if you're lucky, you got the financial educator and the financial planner and advisor in the same person. And even better yet, if you have the accountant also in that same person, so that you can get your tax situation taken care of, which is next week's program is going to be on what do you need to do to plan for taxes. But if you'd like a free financial analysis, which we'll be glad to provide for you at Access Wealth Nation, all you have to do is call 646-375-2121. No obligation. We just do a review. It can be done through Zoom or it can be done in person at our offices in Manhattan. So if you're out of state, just we can do a Zoom and set up something for you, plus get you the book. So I would just say, if you have a plan, then you're not planning to fail. But if you don't have a plan, you are definitely planning to fail. You have to have a roadmap. A matter of fact, that's what we used to call it, was the financial roadmap. So what is this financial roadmap? And many of people will say, I don't have a lot. I don't have, well, those are the ones that definitely need to sit down with a financial advisor and a financial educator. If you don't have a lot, then you got to make something out of what you have and see where it's going and how can it work for you. You know, we know how to make money, no doubts about it. We definitely know how to spend money. How about making our money work for us? And again, in the book, it talks about the rule of 72. It talks about all the 7 money milestones that we have to overcome. This is all important. So I just mentioned the 7 money milestones. And so what does it really what goes into a financial needs analysis? What is that? That's a plan. And it is basically it's a developmental tool to help you to see where you are and then where you'd like to be. And how do I get there? You know, how many of us sit back and say, oh, you know, that's for other people? No, it's not. It's for you. But you need to see where you are, the things that you're doing, some of the stuff that needs to be altered. You know, it's like when you go to the doctor. You tell the doctor where you have some problems and pains. And then the doctor gives you some medication or some regimen so to cure it. Well, we're the little financial doctors that will help you to see where you are financially. And if you're in any trouble, how do we go about to cure that and make it better? Doesn't that make sense? Just think about that. So, what goes into the financial analysis? One is we do get a chance to see your cash flow. And what is cash flow? Cash flow is your, going to curse right now, budget. People hate when I say that word budget, but that's what it is. It is how much money you bring in, and then how much money do you spend or do you expense out? Where's your money going? You know, it's amazing. I've been in this industry for over 30 years, and it never fails when I sit with individuals and I tell them that we're doing that budget. And when I look at the budget and I say, oh, you've got some money left over for the month. And they're like, no, I don't. No, I don't. It's impossible. But that's because we become magicians. And how do we become magicians? We get a $20 bill and then we turn around and we just buy one little item, and then the whole $20 bill it's gone. How did that happen? It's because we don't budget. And so we need to set up that budget and figure out what comes in. What are we paying in taxes? What else can I do? You know, a lot of people say, all my money goes to taxes. No, it doesn't. Most of the time, it's the federal withholding and the state and city for those of you, especially who live in New York. But that's not where your money really is going. There's Social Security tax, there's Medicare tax, and those are paying for the folks who are receiving it now and are eligible for it now. So you're paying in to that budget, but you're not receiving it. So that money has to go out, it's going out of your paycheck. Medical, your union dues, all those things are eating into your paycheck. So cash flow is very important. And sometimes with cash flow, we got to look at the option of maybe I need to do something else. What else could I do? I believe that we all have come here as God's children, that we have certain talents. The key is, can we get someone to pay us for those talents? I have seen folks who crochet and knit. Do you know how much a sweater that is handmade would go for? And people give it away. A scarf, hat. Some people can proofread documents. Others are good at just babysitting, walking a dog. These are all, there's a name for it, called the gig economy. So you have your job, your 9 to 5 or your 8 to 4, whatever it is. And then you do things on the side. There's 24 hours in the day. So sleeping takes about 7 or 8. So what else are you doing? There are some jobs or gigs that you can do, such as for Amazon and them, there's reviews. People get paid to do these things. There are people who get paid to stand in a line or get on the phone and sit on the phone. Lord knows, if you're trying to get to IRS, you might want to pay somebody, give them the power of attorney to sit on that phone, because I've been on the phone sometimes 3-4 hours and still didn't get through. And I am a planner and a tax consultant, which means I have a special preparation line, and I still got to sit on the phone. So that's another business out there, another job, a gig. So that's looking at what your possibilities. Can I earn additional income? A lot of people, and I know many of you have talked to me about it, I want to set up my own business, and we will be doing a special just on setting up your business and business structures out there. Again, we are only giving information, so it's not sealed in stone of what to do, but it is a guideline to understand what your possibilities are. Then when we deal with the financial needs analysis, we also go to debt. We deal with, I know nobody out there, none of y'all have debt, but if you don't watch it for this holiday time, you'll see debt. So with debt, it's sometimes looking to consolidate, or in some cases to eliminate the debt. But you can't do it unless you write it down. And that is one of the most painful jobs I think people see that they can't do. So it's best to work with a financial advisor or an educator, that you write them down, and the interest rate and what the minimum payment is, so that this can be worked out, so that you can basically maybe consolidate some debt. I know many of y'all get the mail, and in the mail, these offers that are out here. You need someone to explain those offers to you, because some of those offers say, oh, 0 interest. But then what happens is, after the 0 interest, after 12 months, there's a balloon interest. So you have to make sure that there's another gig there, someone who could read and interpret those statements. Then you need the emergency fund. And so these are some of the things that we will deal with when we deal with the financial needs analysis. What's an emergency fund? That is 3 to 6 months worth of your take-home pay put to the side so that you can address an emergency. But if you use it for emergencies, it's okay. That's what it's for. But then it's also to build it back up. So these are some of the tactics. And again, if you're sitting with a financial advisor, or an educator. That's the beauty in it is. Sometimes we need to talk to someone else and be accountable to someone else. I have been in the financial service industry for years, and in that, I've been able to have accountability partners because why? It's easier when you have to tell what you've done than having to keep the secret. Okay. Then we need, so that's another building, how we build it. And we can show you how to build that emergency fund. And then there's proper protection. Hmm. Proper protection is insurance, but not just life insurance, even though there are insurances like living benefit of life insurance that you can help to build your assets with, but just also things like homeowners insurance or apartment insurance for most of us in New York. Um, Also, other types of insurance, collision insurance. You know, if you have a car, they make it mandatory. If you own a home, it's mandatory. But what about the things that aren't mandatory? Apartment insurance is not mandatory, but you need it. Um, you know, your health insurance. All of these things are need to be looked at. Proper protection. One is against the loss of income or the challenge of an income. Challenges of the income is when an emergency or something occurs, and then you've got to find a way and maybe dig into the emergency fund to take care of it. But if you had proper protection, that would be helpful. Then, of course, we got to build wealth. And in building wealth, we're going to strive to outpace. Okay, here goes this word, inflation. I know you all heard this word, inflation, continuously because the Fed just upped the interest rate on borrowing 0.5%. Now, some people say that's not a lot, but you all are victims right now. And yes, I'm using the word victim of interest rates going up. That means that our credit cards, borrowing money, home loans, car loans, all of those have gone up. And sometimes it can affect you up to almost an extra, especially on a home, an extra $1,000 a month. So interest rates are very important. Now that's used to lower, our inflationary power. What's inflation? Inflation is our buying power. You all know what that looks like. You know why I know you know that? Because every time you go to the store, everybody in the store has the same response. Oh no. Oh my. And they're looking at the prices. I remember during this holiday time for Thanksgiving, it was looking at how much eggs. I remember you could get 5 dozen eggs and basically paid $5 for it. The sale was 3 for $10. So that means $3.33 you're paying for 1 dozen of eggs. Now, the birds didn't get any deeper or more expensive. It's just the fact that all of expenses in going into buying or creating goods and services has gone up. We also have some of these embargoes taking place. So much is happening to cause the cost of our goods to go up, and therefore the consumer has to pay. So, in respects, inflation can hurt where you normally might have spent $100, $200 on groceries. Now you're spending 200 to 300 on groceries per month. That can make a difference. We're eating a lot differently, so costs have gone up. Okay. Then we have to also, in building wealth, recognize taxes. Here in New York, we've got the federal, the state, and the city. Some places like Florida, Texas, Nevada, don't have to worry about the state tax, but you still got to pay Uncle Sam. So you have to look and see how your money is growing and what's the effect. Do I pay now on taxes, something that I'm going to get later? Can I pay it later? Or can I pay it not at all? These are all things that are out here available for you to profit from, to build your wealth. Because while you're building wealth, at this time. You have to be conscious of the inflation, what my money's going to be worth when I need it, and taxes. How much is Uncle Sam and the state and city going to get? Okay. Then you need to have some professional management. That counts for some of the things like the mutual funds that are out here, active money management, all these types of vehicles that can be out here to help you, including I know some of y'all are talking about the crypto. And I tell folks, if you've got all your safe money taken care of, and I do mean your safe money, that means you've taken care of what I've just mentioned, the cash flow, the emergency fund, the debt, you've taken care, you got everything in order, you got proper protection, you got the right insurance, you've got your health insurance taken care of, you know what your future is going to look like, you know what you have your wills and stuff together, your health proxies. After you get all of that together, then you can discuss how you're going to go and gamble a little bit. Okay. But that also can be determined and has to be determined when you sit with a professional. And as I mentioned about the preservation of wealth, it is to make sure that when you leave this earth, it goes to the next generation and builds a legacy. But as it's building that legacy, you got to look at it from that standpoint is, are they going to wind up having to have to pay taxes on this when they get it? Or can I send this to my family and can I sort of speak from the grave so that they don't spend it all because I've sacrificed. And now all of a sudden they just go out and spend it all. And don't think it doesn't happen. It does. I watch it consistently. People save and build. And then the family gets a hold of it and spends it within the year. And so, how do I prevent that from happening? And there's ways that which you can do that. That's sometimes in a trust. And but then also to show how you're going to maintain for yourself. You know that over 64% of Americans are concerned about outliving their money. And what's more shocking is so many people, especially people who work for the state and city of New York, when you retire, you've really got to sit down and work out how you're going to let your money make your money last. Your pensions are usually either 55 or 60% of what you were originally earning. So if you weren't living well on 100% of your salary, how are you going to make it on 50 to 60% of it? I know people say, well, I'm going to have less to spend. Did you just see what happened this year with inflation? That's the chances are you're going to end up spending more money. You need more money. So you have to look at it. And I call out those elements like the state and the city because no one educates the people who are getting ready to retire well enough to understand that they can outlive the comforts of their money. And what does that mean? I'm talking about the fact that if you've got 50 to 60% of your income, at a certain point, you're going to have to dip somewhere to make up that money. So it's very important. Even if you have investments like a retirement account, there's certain points that when Uncle Sam says you've got to take that money out and spend it down. So these are the things in the preservation of your wealth that you need to make sure that you've got that. So that's what goes into a financial needs analysis. Some of the documents that you'll have to provide are going to be a pay stub because I know for a fact most people don't know how to read their pay stubs. And many people now, because we're in the electronic era, they don't even get a pay stub. So they got to figure out how to get to the pay stub. All your retirement statements, the different places if you have retirement, which you should be building towards it. And what does that look like? Here we go. You provide the monthly expenses, your life insurance policies. What do they look like? A lot of the people only have life insurance on the job. So if you lose the job, you lose the insurance. So you need to be able to make sure that you're covered even past the time that you leave the job, including your medical coverage. I send people continuously back to their job to say, are their insurances portable? What does that mean? Can you take it with you? And if not, you need to get some things that are allowed to take it with you. Your credit card statements, like I said, the balances and the minimum amount. Why? And the interest rate, because this will all help us to be able to build your plan. And if you have any additional loans, auto statements, personal loans, those things will go into your financial. Yeah, you're going to expose yourself. But again, there is a personal confidentiality. Nobody else will know about it. And preferably, if it's your husband and wife or a couple, you should do this together. And then if you have last year's tax returns, because sometimes, unfortunately, in our community, people rely upon their taxes, their refund, which that's why next week we're going to talk about the world of taxes. But you will be looking at your tax refund and see if did you save too much? Did you give the government too much? A refund definition: I give the money and I get it back, no interest. So with a refund from to IRS, you gave them the money all year long, and then they give it back, no interest, unless they pay you back late, which is what's been happening recently. Is that they've been paying, IRS has been moving real slow, and if that's the case, they give you a little bit of interest, not much. It's a 3% divided by 12 months and then compounded. So not a lot. And so above all, when you're doing your financial needs analysis, there's something that is so important. It's the goals and your dreams that you want to accomplish. What do you really want to do? That's why I say it's where you're at and where you want to be. But you've got to, all in between there is like when the preacher, when, they talk about we have the year you're born and the year you die. And then it's that dash. Well, guess what? This is your goal and this is how you're going to reach it. And in the middle, that's your dash. So these are some of the things that are so important to sit down. And if you're a couple, then therefore you need to really think about it. What if separate and also joint together? The goals, the desires, and dreams. Martin Luther King said that most of the people die at the age of 18 because they stopped dreaming. We need to start dreaming again, and we can do that. So I'm going to also give you an idea, because I think this is important. There's some of the things questions you need to come with some answers to. One is that what are your short-term, your mid-term, and your long-term goals? What is short-term? Short-term is within a year. That's going to be affected by funds, because this way it also makes a determination of how we're going to move your money or make suggestions. Because if you've got something pending, like right away, like I'm going to buy a car in a couple of days, or I'm going to buy a house in a couple of months, those are things that are pending expenses that would affect your financial needs analysis. Intermediate is usually anywhere from 3 to 5 years. What's going to happen during that time, and then long term is usually the 5 year plus. And that's usually, we always look at retirement, because that's almost inevitable that you've got to do some long term planning. I hate to tell folks, but it's really the truth. We're going to live. And so if we're living, then we need to prepare, because it's how you're going to be living. National Geographic had an article, and it showed this cute little baby. As a matter of fact, they did little babies in different nationalities. And with the babies on the cover, it says that this child may live to be 125 years old. What kind of lifestyle would that person live? Now, it could be that they have no change and they're fantastic, because there's many people across the world who live and live well, and they live well into their 100. They're 100, 105 and plus. And then there's people who don't have a good life. Why? Because, excuse me, they are in a situation of where they get illnesses. And in our community, my dear friends used to say they get the trifecta. And what's the trifecta? Is diabetes, cholesterol, and hypertension. Oh, excuse me, got to get a little. Mhm. Okay, so thank you for that patience. Then we got to look at some of the things that are very important that cause money. So bring that in your mindset. And I send this to everyone who is looking to do a financial needs analysis. What does your current income? That deals with cash flow. Um, your current employer, what are some of the benefits that they offer you? Some of the things that you are able to work with or take advantage of. There's many programs that jobs offer, and we don't understand it, so we don't do it. So bringing that to your financial needs analysis will allow us to do that. It comes up. What's your career plans? Do you plan on staying on this job? There was a time that everybody wanted to stay on their job for 30 years and then they were going to retire. That was the bill of goods they sold us. The average American today does not stay on that job more than 5 years and moves to another or starts a new career. So think about that. Where would you see yourself? How do you see yourself? And that allows you to start to dream about your careers. The other thing is, do you save? And sometimes we can make savings fun. I have all different types of programs that you can do some savings on. One is, save $1 for every week in the year. As you get closer to December, people start slacking up on that, though, because it's more money that they have to put away for the week. But also hoard your fives. You break a 20. Remember I told you we become David Copperfield? Poof, the money disappears. Well, instead of it disappearing, how about putting it away? So when you have a $5 bill in your wallet or your purse at the end of the day, how about putting that away, hoarding it, building it? Because we used to do it with quarters, but sorry, inflation has caused quarters not to be as valuable as a $5 bill. Just think about it. Things about building your emergency fund, those are one of the things that can help it by doing that little thing there, just building there. Because if you put $1 for every week in the year, at the end you've got $1,372 that you've put away. And some people go, well, that ain't a lot of money. Yeah, but it's more than what you saved before. And you do that 10 times, guess what? You got $13,000. If you continue to do something, if you keep doing the same thing that you've always done, you're going to get the same thing that you've always gotten. So we have to make some changes. Then we take a look at, again, do you have debt? That's one thing. How about your life insurances? What are they? And explaining those, your retirement plans, because you just brought us your statements. So therefore, you have the opportunity to we look at it and see what the goals are, and are you on target? There's so many different things that can be done to make sure you get on target. And then one of the things is that what we don't discuss all the time, but it's so important, who are your beneficiaries? Where's this money going to if something should happen to you untimely and you don't join that infamous group of 125, aged 125? Who gets? How do they get? We have a lot of family members that break up because that is not identified. So therefore, the will, the living will, the trust, the power of attorney, the medical proxy, uh, and also an estate executor. Some people say, well, I don't have no estate. I'm not going to have anything. Close your eyes right now and think about it. And think about what's in your apartment right now. Where is it going? Who's going to manage it if you're not there? I just had a thought recently because by the grace of God, I've been truly honored with a lot of awards. And I'm like, what is going to happen? They're important to me. I don't know if they're going to be important to my family and where they're going to put it. It's a thought, and you can say where, and what needs to be done. And other things, do you have a trusted advisor? If you don't, you need to have an accountant, an attorney, and a tax consultant. That's called your team. So when you're looking at this whole element of building your financial needs analysis, is to make sure that you have everything in order. And guess what? Many people say, well, then I'm planning to die. No, I like to look at it this way. If you go out in the daytime and they say, like what's ready to happen today, and probably for the rest of this winter, is that they say rain, snow, sleet, and you carry an umbrella, and there's no rain, there's no snow, there's no sleet. Okay, but as soon as you leave that umbrella home, dollar to a donut, it rains, snows, and sleets when it's supposed to, and you're not covered. So which one would you like to be? Would you like to be in the covered phase or the uncovered? Of course, what do you have to lose but to put your stuff in order? Because ultimately, there comes a time, and when that time comes, whether you die or that you just can't speak for yourself, if that should come, who is going to step up? Now, some people say my children. Sometimes that doesn't work so well. Okay. And then sometimes it does. It's just that if you don't put it in place, even for your children, it makes it difficult. For those of you who have domestic partnerships, you need to make sure that the right person is on the paperwork, or it can be catastrophic. So all of these things need to be put into place. And that's why you get a financial needs analysis. And if someone won't give it to you with no obligation, they want to sell you something, it's not about selling. It's about putting your life in order. Ultimately, can changes be made? Yeah, they can. But in the real world and how things really work is that you need to just have the plan and then have things in writing so that people understand what you need to do and how to handle if you can't speak, or even worse, you're not here. So I say, if you want to have a financial needs analysis, please feel free. AnajEnterprises@gmail.com. That's ANAJEnterprisInc @gmail.com. And we'll be able to assist you. It's a free financial analysis, or call 646-375-2121 and let us know that either, that you would like an appointment. We do have a calendar. Sometimes you will not have me. You will have one of my associates, but they have been trained greatly, and I'm still training individuals. So those of you who may be looking for that gig economy and would like to become a financial advisor or a tax consultant, I might be able to help you. So give us a call at 646-375-2121. It has been a pleasure talking with you today. I hope you learned something. It's very important that you learn, because if you know better, you'll do better. I know that for a fact. So this is Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse from Access Wealth Nation, broadcast on Soul City Network and WHCR 90.3 FM. And it has been my pleasure. And I hope you have a good night and stay blessed.
She was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be legal to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She is magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is magic.